Captain Jake Morrison stood on the command deck of the UHS Defiance, eyes locked on the image of the withering planet slowly rotating beneath them. From orbit, the world looked diseased. What should have been lush green forests were now blotched. With brown decay, one's vibrant blue oceans shimmered with an unnatural gray sheen. Even the clouds above swirled like dirty cotton. "Sir, faint transmissions coming from the surface," reported Lieutenant Amy Johnson from her console. "There are still life signs down there." Jake gave a silent nod and moved closer to the central display. This had been meant to be a straightforward exploration: run, scan planets, chart regions, move forward. No one had warned them they'd stumble upon a planet on the edge of collapse. Dr. Lisa Hayes appeared at his side. As the ship's leading xenobiologist, she'd seen her share of strange alien worlds. But even she looked shaken while reviewing the environmental data. "The atmosphere's toxic," she murmured. "Whatever happened here, it was sudden. The entire ecosystem is unraveling." "Any theories on the cause?" Jake asked. Lisa shook her head slowly. "Not yet, but I need to be on the ground, collect field samples. And if there are survivors," she added, "they're running out of time, maybe weeks, maybe days." Jake felt a chill form deep in his chest. 15 years in space hadn't made scenes like this any easier. The worst part, knowing the Galactic Council would probably turn a blind eye. One remote world didn't rank high on their list of galactic concerns. Captain Amy called again. "Incoming direct transmission. Source: primary city." "Put it through," Jake instructed. The main screen flickered, stabilizing to reveal an alien face unlike any Jake had encountered. Its skin was a pale blue, softly radiant in the dim light. Large, shadowed eyes stared out from delicate features, almost human, but clearly not, as the being spoke. Jake felt a tingling in his thoughts, as if the words were being placed directly into his mind. "Human ship. I am Zaravavel. Kef, elder of the Fani. We have waited a long time for someone to hear our plea. Please, we are in need." Jake stepped forward. "This is Captain Morrison of the Earth vessel Defiance. What happened here?"
Sarah's
expression filled with sorrow. "We are dying, Captain. Our home is dying. A sickness fell from the sky 3 cycles ago. It affects only US de Volani, our animals, our plants. Everything else remains unharmed. But we cannot breathe, cannot feed, cannot endure." "Did you contact the Galactic Council?" Jake asked, though he could already guess the answer. "Countless times," Zara replied. "For 3 years, we've cried out, begged for help, medicine, evacuation. They promise action, but nothing arrives. The galaxy forgets us, turns its gaze elsewhere." Dr. Hayes moved into view. "Elder Zara, I'm Dr. Lisa. Hayes, my field is xenopathology. I study diseases that affect alien species. Please, can you describe what's happening to your people?" Zara's eyes lit up faintly. "A healer? Yes, come to us. I will show you everything. But hurry. Each sunrise, more lives fade. Once we were millions. Now, fewer than 50,000 remain." Jake's unease grew. A civilization collapsing while the galaxy ignored their cries. A decision crystallized in that moment. "Elder Zara, we're coming. Prepare a secure landing site for our shuttle." "Jake," Lisa said softly, "shouldn't we contact Earth Command? Get authorization?" "No time," Jake said firmly. "If we wait, there may be no one left to rescue." 2 hours later, Jake and Lisa walked through the remnants of a city that had once clearly thrived. The architecture was unlike anything they'd seen, towers of shimmering crystal that captured and refracted light with breathtaking beauty. But now, everything felt abandoned. Most structures stood in silence. Lights barely flickered. The few people they did spot moved sluggishly, every motion laced with pain. Zara met them outside what appeared to be a medical facility. She moved with deliberate care, each step betraying the weight of illness. Her once blue skin had faded to a pale white, and her breathing came shallow and slow. "Thank you for coming," she said softly. "I had stopped believing anyone would." Lisa immediately began examining the Valenelisa-treated patients, while Jake questioned Zara. What he learned made his blood boil. The Valani were a peaceful race. Never aggressive, never hostile. They had been loyal members of the Galactic Council for over 2 centuries, always giving aid, asking little in return. The Korax Empire wants our planet, Zara told him. They've waited for us to perish so they can claim it. Rare minerals lie deep beneath our surface. We never mine them. They belong to the planet, not us. The Korax did this to you? Jake asked. We have no proof, Zara said, her voice heavy. But the illness began days after they offered to help us extract the minerals. We declined. They left. 3 days later, people began to fall sick. Lisa returned, her expression grim. Jake, this isn't a natural disease. It's a targeted bioweapon. It's been genetically engineered to affect only Valani biology. Jake clenched his fists, anger rising. Can you cure it? Maybe. But I need more time and specialized tools. Even with that, many might not survive long enough to receive it. That night, alone in his quarters aboard the Defiance, Jake stared at a new message from Earth Command. Orders were clear. Vacate the system immediately. Galactic Council official had filed a complaint about unauthorized human presence. Jake was instructed to submit a mission log and proceed to the next region. He thought of the Valani children he'd seen lying in the hospital, too frail to sit up, yet still managing weak smiles when he walked by. He thought of Zara clearly, dying, still comforting others. Without hesitation, Jake erased the message. Then he summoned his senior crew. We're evacuating the Valani, he said. It's against orders. It might cost us our careers. But I won't leave these people to die while the galaxy turns its back. Commander Rick Torres, his XO, spoke first. Sir, Defiance doesn't have room for 50,000 passengers. Then we'll make multiple trips, Jake answered. Call in every favor. We've got... Reach out to merchant ships, friendly captains. We'll make it happen. And if Earth Command tells us to stand down, ask Lieutenant Johnson. Jake paused. Then we choose. Orders or integrity. I've made my choice. Any of you can request reassignment if you don't agree. No one moved. After a moment, Torres grinned. Guess I finally get to know what it's like being a traitor? The following morning, Jake transmitted a message to all human vessels within 50 light years. He explained the situation, what had happened to the Valani, the engineered plague, the slow genocide ignored by the galaxy. He asked for help evacuating the survivors. The response was overwhelming. Within hours, messages poured in. Captains pledged assistance, cargo haulers rerouted toward Valani space. Even a handful of warships quietly joined the growing humanitarian convoy. But Jake knew this was only the start. The Korax Empire wouldn't let their plan collapse without resistance. Earth Command would send ships. The Council would rage. None of that changed his resolve. Watching the first Valani refugees step aboard Defiance, Jake was certain of one thing. They were doing what was right. The galaxy might abandon the suffering. Humanity would not. A war for the forgotten had begun. Admiral Ben Carter scanned the endless flow of reports stacking across his terminal. Each hour brought more. Furious politicians, panicked diplomats, outraged council envoys. All wanted one thing: stop Captain Jake Morrison and return him to Earth. It's her, said his aide. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez, secure line request. It's her. Ben rubbed at his eyes. 10 years leading Earth fleet, and nothing had prepared him for this. One captain, one ship, had managed to spark the greatest diplomatic storm in human history. Put her through, he said. ... President Karen Walsh appeared on screen, and she was clearly angry. Admiral, I want Morrison stopped, immediately. The Korax Empire is threatening to cut off all trade to human sectors. The Galactic Council is considering expelling us entirely. This ends now. Ma'am, I understand your concerns. But Morrison isn't answering our hails. He's cut all contact. Then send a task force to retrieve him, the President ordered sharply. Use force if necessary. Ben felt a twist in his gut. Morrison has 12 ships with him. Volunteers. If we send in the fleet, we'll be firing on our own people. It's better that than risking a war with half the galaxy, the president said coldly. I'm sorry, Admiral, but Morrison left us no choice. Stop him, or I'll find someone who will. The screen went black. Ben leaned back, staring at the ceiling, thinking of Jake Morrison. They'd served side by side once, junior officers full of ideals. Jake had always gone out of his way to help others even when it cost him. Now that same heart might tear apart everything they'd built, far across the stars. In a makeshift lab running on backup power, Dr. Alex Chen was racing. Time. He'd joined Morrison's mission 3 weeks earlier, bringing his team and lab gear. Now, he was fighting to uncover the truth behind the plague killing the Villani. Alex called his assistant, Dr. Nia Foster. I think I've got something. He rushed over. Her screen displayed a complex biological profile. Check this out, she said, pointing. This isn't just a virus. It's precision engineered. Designed to wipe out only Villani? You can prove it? Alex asked. I already did. The virus locks onto gene markers unique to Villani DNA. No natural disease could be this specific. Someone spent years studying them to create this. Alex felt his stomach twist, part awe, part dread. Proof meant they could finally expose the crime. But it also meant someone had committed mass murder on a galactic scale and walked away. Send everything to Morrison. Back it up to every human ship. If we don't make it, the truth needs to survive. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Jake Morrison faced a new crisis. The volunteer fleet had swelled to 23 ships, but the Corfax were hunting them. Warships had been seen in 3 adjacent systems, clearly searching for the evacuation routes. Captain, said Commander Rick Torres, we've got confirmed movement. Corfax ships are closing in on the refugee convoy. They'll make contact in 6 hours. Jake studied the map. The convoy carried 5,000 Villani headed for a safe haven in human territory. Their only defense? To light destroyers? Against Corfax warships, that wouldn't be enough? ETA, if we run full burn? For hours, Rick replied. Push the engines and alert the fleet. We're going in. Comes Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez, now part of Jake's crew after requesting a transfer, looked up. Sir, priority transmission from Admiral Carter. Jake hesitated. He already knew what it would be. Put it on. Ben Carter's face appeared. He looked worn down, older than Jake remembered. Jake, you need to stop this. The president's ready to declare you rogue. Earth fleet's preparing to detain you. Ben, you need to see what Dr. Chen uncovered. This isn't a plague, it's a bioweapon. Engineered. The Corax committed genocide. I know, Ben said quietly. I've seen the files.
Ow.
But it changes nothing. The Council won't punish the Corax. Earth isn't strong enough to defy them alone. So we just let them finish the job. Jake asked. Silence. Then Ben said, I've been ordered to stop you, but I'm holding off. You have 12 hours before I relay those orders. Use them well. The call ended. Jake understood what wasn't said. Ben had bought him time to finish what he started before Earth came knocking. Captain Johnson said, Update. Corfax ships are accelerating. They'll reach the convoy in 4 hours. Jake nodded. All ships. Full speed. We get there first. The battle that followed would become legend. 20-3 human vessels freighters. Retrofitted cruisers, a few old escorts, stood between 6 Corfax heavy warships and thousands of civilians. They were outgunned and outmatched in every way. But they had one advantage the Corfax never anticipated. Villani Tech. Elder Zara had given Jake access to ancient Villani systems, defensive systems activated. The Villani had once been warriors before embracing peace. Their ancient weaponry was unlike anything the galaxy had encountered. Villani shields online, reported the weapons officer. A brilliant blue field enveloped the human vessels, making them shimmer with an ethereal glow. The Corfax struck first. Their energy cannons, normally capable of vaporizing enemy ships instantly, hit the human fleet and passed straight through. The beams met only empty space. Now, Jake commanded. The human fleet returned fire. With Villani enhancements there, Weapons tore through Corfax hulls with terrifying ease. 2 enemy ships erupted into fireballs within seconds. The remaining warships attempted to flee, but Volani targeting systems had already locked on. There was no escape.
At the end of the
battle, all 6 Corfax vessels were destroyed. The human fleet had taken damage but lost no ships. More importantly, the refugee convoy was unharmed. Word of the engagement rippled across the galaxy. For the first time ever, humanity had defeated a major council power in direct combat. The so-called junior species had made its mark. Back on Earth, President Karen Walsh watched the news feeds in growing disbelief. The Galactic Council demanded an explanation. The Corfax Empire was mobilizing. Other species were beginning to pick sides. "Madam President," said General Kyle Brooks, her senior military advisor, "we need to distance ourselves from Morrison immediately. If we don't, this could escalate into open war." But Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez interrupted. He had been tracking public reaction. "Ma'am, you need to see what's happening across human colonies. People are hailing Morrison as a hero. They're calling for full support." President Walsh scanned the data he'd collected. Across human space, citizens were forming aid groups. Merchant vessels volunteered for rescue missions. Even military officers were quietly requesting reassignment to Morrison's fleet. "The people have made their decision," she said at last. "Maybe it's time their government followed." Dr. Chen's findings had now spread galaxy-wide. The proof of Corfax involvement in the engineered plague was undeniable. Council's failure to act drew increasing scrutiny from emerging species. Aboard the Defiance, Jake stood at the bridge, watching as more ships arrived. They flew human flags, but came from every corner: traders, surveyors, and warships whose commanders had chosen morality over orders. Beside him stood Elder Zara. Though still weak, our condition was steadily improving thanks to Chen's treatments. "Captain Morrison," she said, voice soft but resolute, "our people have a saying: when the strong turn away, the weak must find strength. Your people have taught us how." Jake nodded. "We're not done yet, Elder. The Corfax will return." "They will," she agreed. "But now we will stand with you." When the galaxy turned its back, humanity reached out. That will never be forgotten. Jake looked out at the stars. She was right. The battle had been won, but the real war was just beginning. President Maria Santos stood in her office, gazing down at the masses flooding the streets of Earth's capital. For 3 days straight, millions had demonstrated across major cities. Her demand was clear: support Morrison and protect the Volani. "Ma'am," said her aide, entering briskly, "we've received an ultimatum from the Galactic Council." "They want to know if Earth officially backs Morrison or denounces him?" Maria turned from the window, her face unreadable. She had led humanity for 6 years, but she had never faced a choice with stakes this high. Supporting Morrison meant risking war with the most powerful species in the galaxy. Denouncing him meant betraying the ideals humanity claimed to uphold. "What's the latest from the colonies?" she asked. "Support for Morrison is at 87%, her aide replied. "Governors are refusing to honor trade sanctions. Some have begun dispatching their own ships to aid the evacuation." The people had spoken. Now she had to choose: listen to them or yield to the politicians urging caution. General Kyle Brooks entered without knocking. Head of Earth's military, he'd been demanding Morrison's arrest since the crisis began. "And we're nearly out of time," he said. "The Corfax Empire has deployed 3 full fleets. They're demanding we turn over Morrison and the refugees. If we stall, they'll strike our colonies." "And if we betray Morrison," Maria replied, "we lose what makes us human." She looked him in the eye. "Kyle, I've reviewed Dr. Chen's reports. The Corfax committed genocide." "How can we support that?" "Because the alternative is war," Brooks said flatly. "Earth has 50 billion people. If the galaxy turns against us, we can't defend them all." Before Maria could answer, her communications officer rushed in. "Ma'am, urgent transmission. It's from the Zephyrian Republic." The screen activated, revealing Ambassador Kathsara, leader of the Zephyrians. Their species, a newer Galactic Council member, had a strong reputation for moral clarity. President Santos Kathsara began. "Our government has reviewed the evidence of the Volani genocide. We believe Captain Morrison acted with honor. The Zephyrian Republic will support humanity in this matter. Maria's breath caught. Ambassador, are you saying the Zephyrians will stand with us against the Corfax? More than that, Cathazara replied. We are withdrawing from the Galactic Council immediately. Any body that turns away from genocide is not worthy of our loyalty. The transmission ended. Maria stood still, stunned. The Zephyrians had shattered the Council's unity for the sake of justice. If they had the courage, what excuse did Earth have? Meanwhile, at a hidden outpost on the fringe of human space, Dr. Alex Chen had found a new collaborator. Nareval Yan, a young Villani scientist and plague survivor, was helping develop breakthrough technology. Dr. Chen Nara said, I think we can enhance your ship defenses. Villani energy systems are different from human ones, but if we merge them, the result could be something powerful. Alex reviewed her schematics. The numbers were astonishing. If this works, Nara, it could change everything. These shields would be nearly indestructible. My people were warriors once, she said. We abandoned violence, believing peace was the higher path. But defense is not aggression. This feels necessary. They worked tirelessly. The result was fusion technology, blending Villani resilience with human adaptability. The shields they created could withstand assaults that would wipe out most fleets. On the Defiance, Jake Morrison faced grim news. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez had been tracking enemy chatter, and what he found chilled him. Captain, Sam said, the Corfax aren't just coming for us. They're planning strikes against human colonies. Jake felt a surge of fury. How many ships? Fleets over 300 warships. Their primary targets are New Boston, Harmony, and Terra Nova. Jake's jaw tightened. Those weren't just colonies. They were some of humanity's largest worlds, each home to millions. If the Corfax struck, the loss would be unimaginable. The losses would be catastrophic. Sir, Commander Torres said, we've got 47 ships. We can't take on 300 Corfax warships. Won't have to, Jake replied. Send a message to every human ship captain in the galaxy. Tell them what the Corfax are planning. Ask for volunteers. The answer came swiftly and overwhelmingly. Within hours, captains across human space changed course. Military officers disobeyed orders. Merchants abandoned trade routes. Explorers turned back from the unknown. Dock Captain Tony Walsh led the merchant fleet's response. He had run cargo to the outer colonies for 2 decades, but he'd never seen anything like this. All ships, this is Walsh, he broadcast. I know this isn't what we signed up for. We're traders, not warriors. But sometimes being human means more than turning a profit. The Corfax want to slaughter innocents to make a point. We're not going to let that happen. One by one, merchant captains answered the call. They would stand and fight President Santos. Watched the coverage in awe. Human ships were converging on Morrison's position from all sectors. The volunteer fleet swelled by the hour. Madam President, said her aide, latest figures show over 400 ships have joined Morrison. This is the largest human fleet ever assembled. And not a single one of them was ordered to be there, Maria whispered. They all chose this. General Brooks frowned. Volunteers can't stop trained Corfax warriors. This is suicide. Maybe, Maria replied, but it's courageous. Sometimes courage changes history. She had made her decision. Stepping before the cameras, she prepared to address not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. Citizens of Earth, citizens of the stars, she began. 3 days ago, I was asked to choose between security and justice. I was warned that supporting Captain Morrison would bring war, that doing what was right would cost us everything. Paused, eyes firm. I have an answer for those who threaten us. Humanity will not turn its back on the innocent. We will not ignore genocide, will not bow to those who mistake cruelty for strength. Outside her office, cheers erupted. Across human space, celebrations began. But I am not done, Maria continued. To the Galactic Council, your silence in the face of suffering has disgraced your institution, protected the guilty, and abandoned the victims. As of today, humanity withdraws from your council. To the Corfax Empire, if you strike our colonies, you strike Earth. We will defend our people and our values with everything we possess. And to those still suffering, to the forgotten and the afraid, I say this: you are not alone. As humanity endures, you will have protectors. The speech echoed across the stars. In the hours that followed, 4 more species left the Galactic Council. The Alphani Trade Federation pledged support to Earth. The Nexer Union offered arms and supplies. The old order was collapsing. Something new was emerging from its ashes. Aboard the Defiance, Elder Zara watched as ships assembled in orbit. Hundreds of vessels, crewed by civilians who chose to risk everything for strangers. "Captain Morrison," she said quietly, "my people have studied yours since you first arrived. We thought we understood you. We were mistaken." "How so?" Jake asked. "We assumed humanity sought only power and territory. We didn't realize your species fights not for gain but for what it believes is right." Jake gave a tired smile. "We're about to find out if that's enough." "'Tis," Zara replied firmly. "The Corfax fight for conquest. You fight for justice. Justice is stronger." Jake stared at the stars. He hoped she was right. The largest battle in galactic history was coming, and everything would depend on ordinary people doing the extraordinary. The Corfax attack began at dawn over New Boston. Admiral Vexorf led 300 warships to crush the colony, expecting minimal resistance. Instead, he encountered a blockade of 60 ships that should not have been there. Freighters, explorers, even private yachts hovered in space beside military craft. They all emitted the same strange energy readings. "Admiral," said his weapons officer, alarmed. "They're using unfamiliar shielding." "We can't get a clear lock," Vexorf snarled. "Fire everything. Level them."
Ow!
The Corfax unleashed devastation, enough firepower to crack a moon. Space erupted with blinding light and thunderous detonations. But when the haze faded, the human ships were still there. Their shimmering blue shields held ... Defending the line, he'd never commanded in combat before, but with Volani tech, even his old freighter could hold the line. "All ships, return fire," he said. "Let's show these thugs what happens when they threaten innocent lives." Human fleets struck back. With Volani energy systems powering their weapons, their volleys tore through Corfax armor like it was made of paper. 12 enemy ships disintegrated in the opening salvo. Admiral Vexorf watched, stunned. "What is this? Our ships are superior in every category." His science officer scanned wildly. "Admiral, their tech, it's hybridized. Human and something else. The signatures don't match any known systems." "Sir," called the comms officer. "Reports from Harmony and Terra Nova. Same situation.
Ow.
Human ships are destroying our forces." On the Defiance, Jake Morrison oversaw coordination of all 3 colony defenses. The volunteer fleet had divided into 3 wings, 1 for each target. "Captain," said Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez, "defense groups are holding. The Corfax are suffering heavy losses." Elder Zara stood nearby. Her strength had returned thanks to Dr. Chen's cure. She now advised on integrating Volani systems. "They expected only humans," she said. "They did not expect unity. Now they face 2 people standing as one." "Captain," said Commander Rick Torres, "incoming message from the Zephyrians. Ambassador Kethsara wishes to speak." The screen lit up with the Zephyrian leader, standing on the bridge of a warship. Behind her, dozens of Zephyrian vessels hovered in space. "Captain Morrison," she said, "the Zephyrian Republic has concluded that words are not enough. We are entering the battle." "You don't have to," Jake replied. "This fight is ours." "No," Kethsara said firmly. "This fight belongs to everyone." The Corfax committed genocide. Now, they attack the innocent. If we don't stop them here, they will never stop. As Jake watched, the Zephyrian fleet joined the defense of Harmony. Taken off guard, the Corfax were soon surrounded and overwhelmed in the research lab. Dr. Alex Chen and Naravel Yan monitored every front. "This tech is exceeding expectations," Chen said. "Your people's shielding is phenomenal. Corfax can't penetrate it. My ancestors made it to protect, not destroy, Nara said. They'd be proud to see it used like this. Dr. Chen called Dr. Nia Foster. Something strange. Corfax ships are retreating from all sectors. Alex rushed to her station. The displays confirmed it. Fleets that had begun the day with dominance were now in full retreat. ... On New Boston. Admiral Vexorf's rage boiled as he gave the order to pull back. Half his ships had been annihilated. Somehow the humans had turned a guaranteed win into a crushing loss. Admiral said his comms officer, High Command, is demanding answers. They want to know how we lost to inferior forces. Vexorf's jaw clenched. They weren't fighting alone. Someone helped them, someone with advanced technology. But as his ships fled, Vexorf's mind burned with one goal: revenge. Corfax's empire would not forget this humiliation. It would return. On Earth, President Maria Santos watched the reports pour in. Against all odds, the colonies were secure. The volunteer fleets had faced down the strongest military force in known space and won. Madam President, we've just received communications from 17 alien governments. They want to join our alliance against the Corfax 17, Maria asked, startled. Yes, ma'am. The Nexari Union, Alfani Trade Federation, the Cardani Republic, 14 others. All of them have withdrawn from the Galactic Council. They're calling the new group the Democratic Alliance. General Kyle Brooks, long opposed to Morrison's mission, stood dumbfounded. If all these species stand with us, he said slowly, we'll be more powerful than what's left of the Council. Maria allowed herself a rare smile. Sometimes, doing the right thing changes more than you expect. Elder Kethmore, the ancient historian, had been Nelder. Kethmore had been studying the war's impact with deep interest. He contacted Jake Morrison with a revelation. Captain, the old Villani said, I've watched the galaxy react to your choices. What you began isn't just about saving us, it's a movement. A revolution, Jake asked. Yes. For centuries, the Galactic Council ruled through fear. Strong preyed on the weak. No one challenged that balance, till you. You proved that standing up for others can unite rather than divide. That protecting life strengthens us all. Jake nodded grimly. The Corfax will come again, next time with more force. They might, Kethmore agreed. But they won't face only humanity. They'll face everyone who believes justice is more powerful than fear. Even as he spoke, reports arrived from across the galaxy. Corfax ships were under siege on multiple worlds. Species long subjugated were rising up. The Empire's grip was breaking. Captain Tony Walsh returned to New Boston, docking his battered freighter. His crew was exhausted, but victorious. You saved millions, the station commander said. Earth Command wants to award your crew, Tony smiled. We don't need medals. Just the knowledge that when others turn away, humanity turns toward. The suffering aboard Defiance. Jake stood beside Elder Zara on the observation deck. The stars glimmered beyond, and more ships were arriving by the hour. Human. Zephyr and Nexari, Captain Zara said softly. Our legends tell of a day when the forgotten would be remembered, when strangers become kin. I believe that day has come. You believe this is that moment? Jake asked. I'm certain. Your people have reminded the galaxy that real strength lies not in destruction, but in protection. Jake turned to her. The Corfax still have fleets. They'll try again. Then let them come, she replied, her eyes fierce. We have something they can't comprehend. We have hope. Jake looked at the growing alliance. Hope, yes, but also determination. The war wasn't over. The galaxy was finally waking up. 5 years later, Captain Lisa Martinez stood aboard the Alliance Freedom. Overlooking New Velon, the planet gleamed with crystal towers reflecting sunlight into prismatic skies. Below, a ceremony was beginning. Captain, said her comms officer, Admiral Morrison is ready. She smiled. Jake had risen to lead the entire Democratic Alliance fleet, but today, he stood not as a soldier, but a friend witnessing his vision come true. The Morrison Institute for Interstellar Relations shimmered below. In its garden courtyard, representatives of 43 species gathered. 5 years ago, Jake began, the galaxy was ruled by the powerful. The weak suffered in silence, and no one came when a peaceful race cried out for help. In the audience, Elder Zara sat with her great-grandchildren. The Villani now numbered over 2 million, thriving across dozens of systems. Dr. Chun's cure had saved them and many more, Jake continued. This institute is dedicated to one idea, that no species is too small to matter. That justice matters more than might. That when we stand together, there's nothing we can't do. On Earth, President Maria Santos, elected by a landslide, watched from the Capitol. Earth had become the Alliance's heart. The war taught us, Jake said, that ordinary people can become extraordinary when they stand for something greater than themselves.
Right.
That compassion isn't weakness, it's our greatest strength. Doctor. Chen sat in the front row with Naravel Yan. Together, they had transformed science and medicine. Their joint research now saved lives across the galaxy. Jake went on. The greatest lesson was this. When others look away from pain, we must choose to look toward it. The Corfax Empire had surrendered 2 years ago, their fleets destroyed. Their leaders tried for genocide. But the real victory came before that, when species across the stars chose hope over fear. Tony Walsh, now an admiral, led the Alliance merchant fleet. Once a simple trader, now a legend. His actions had proved that heroes come from everywhere. When I met Elder Zara, Jake said, her people had been forgotten. But today I say this. No one is forgotten. Not anymore. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez, now Captain Rodriguez, had chronicled the war. His reports became required reading in every Alliance academy. He had reminded the galaxy that truth was a weapon too. The Corfax believed might made right, Jake said. They were wrong. Right makes might. Justice unites where conquest divides. Dr. Nia Foster now commanded the Alliance Medical Corps. Her team had dismantled 7 bioweapons and saved millions. Jake addressed the youth watching across planets. You can change the world. One choice, one act of compassion, can ripple through history. Never think you're too small to matter. Ambassador John Parker now represented Earth in the Alliance Council, where decisions were made by consensus. It was slower, but fair. Every voice mattered. The Morrison Institute, Jake said, will be more than a school. It's a symbol, a reminder that when darkness rises, there will always be those who choose the light. Carrera, the first Villani officer in the Alliance fleet, watched from orbit. She symbolized the new era where equality was real, not promised. To the Villani, Jake said, you are no longer forgotten. You are our teachers, our guides, our friends. Children from many worlds lit the memorial flame together, human, and Villani hands side by side, lighting a future built from hope. Later, Jake and Zara walked the Institute's gardens. She moved slowly now, her age showing, but her spirit untouched. Do you ever regret it, she asked? The war, the losses? Regret that it was needed, Jake said, but not what we stood for. The galaxy is better now.